All right, I hope you got your castanets out.
I'll tell you what, if you got them, use them.
Yeah.
So I have a funny castanet story
Chat
for
is
if there's time
disabled
to
for this live stream. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Wow, you disabled chat.
No, I didn't mean to. I made it safe
you
for...
did.
I made it safe for...
That's why you disabled chat.
Can we change it?
Nope, not live.
Oh, gosh, guys. Oh, really? Okay, I messed up. We can't see in the chat.
He eliminated the chat because he felt like you guys were so childish.
You know what?
That
I went into the set. Okay, I screwed up somehow. Sorry, everyone can't see in the chat. That is my fault. Because I created the link for the show.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah.
Could be interference.
It was hackers. It was hackers. It was probably hackers.
Is it a Bitcoin thing? I don't know how that works.
So
Could be.
So, Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia.
Send Eugene a lot of emails with all of your comments. That's how we're going to fix
Tell you
this.
what.
Yeah.
Sign up to get our newsletter. Speaking of emails, it's in the description of the show. You know, you get some road stories and some things that we'll be offering later on. It'll be really, really hip. So sorry we can't see everyone in the chat, but I assume there's probably just a few tens of thousands of people watching.
I think there's probably 15 to 20,000.
And of course,
people.
you guys are so lovely in the chat. By the way, everyone's so supportive and funny and fun and kind, and we're very, very fortunate to have you guys as an audience because it doesn't require any sort of moderators or anything like that. Everyone checks themselves.
It's true.
It. I'm so upset about not seeing the chat. Okay, so now Mickey and Sylvia were a duo, right, in the 50s.
Right.
Now Mickey Baker, just a little background on the guy. He was from Louisville, Kentucky. He was an orphan.
Really?
He was an orphan. And then when he was a teenager, he just left Louisville and moved to New York City, and he supported himself as a pool hustler.
Not the pools you swim in.
No.
Right?
Billiards.
You see. Okay.
He made his living playing pool.
Right.
And then
is that what the hamburger does for McDonald's? The one when it's an action figure? Isn't he a pool hustler too?
Is he?
I think so.
Well, he looks like one. He looks like one. So then, when he's about 18,
yeah,
he knew some musicians in New York City, and he says, "I'll learn guitar."
Yeah,
and learns guitar and learns it very well.
18,
he starts at the age of 18.
So there's hope.
That's right. And then he quickly becomes like one of the first call session men.
Yeah,
and he's on tons of R&B records recorded in the 50s and the 60s. Fever by Little Willie John is an example, but. All those Drifters songs and there was some Ray Charles stuff he's on here and there. Just if it was recorded in New York and it was R&B, it's probably Mickey Baker on guitar.
Yeah.
Now, he loved jazz. Okay. Wow, and then he thought, I'd like to have my own career. So I think in his mind, he was thinking I'll do like a Les Paul and Mary Ford style thing.
Yeah.
Kind of and Sylvia was one of his guitar students.
Oh.
And that's how they met.
Guitar teachers?
That's right. No,
there's a way.
Sylvia Robinson, very impressive figure in music, and possibly one of the most influential people on music as we now know it. And I'll get a little into that a little later. Anyway, they form a duo, and they start cutting some records, and Love is Strange is one of them. And most people are familiar with it from what movie?
Dirty Dancing?
Dirty Dancing, exactly.
There's been on a lot of movies, but I think
which is a soundtrack
Dancing.
that baffles me, by the way. And you know why?
Because it's not that dirty.
Well, no.
No, I mean, I'm doing that thing where it's Captain Hindsight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. No, the soundtrack, the songs. Some of them, they'll use the original recording.
Yeah.
Of like Mr. Pitiful by Otis Redding is in there.
Sure.
And Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia. Great.
Which means they had to license those, so that was pricey.
And then there's like Hungry Eyes by Eric Carmen.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Which is
to me
all
at all.
Yamaha
what era are we
DX7s
in
and synthesizers.
Right now?
And so it's the musical anachronism that really, really troubled me.
Yeah, it's like if you were in Narnia, right, and you hear the bells of Cthulhu, whatever, like the bells of Sauron or something. I'm in the wrong movie, but you get the point. And then all of a sudden, the Top Gun theme plays, and you're like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Sauron's here. We're falling into the danger zone.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the little background. And Sylvia Robinson, she was actually quite ambitious, and after Mickey and Sylvia split up, she moved to Europe for most of the 60s, and she came back to the States in the early 70s and had her own solo career. She made like a very kind of a pre-disco disco album, actually. And then she ends up funding Sugar Hill. Well, yeah, she kind of creates Sugar Hill Gang and funds Rapper's Delight. She's one of the original hip hop label bosses, basically. And so look up Sylvia Robinson, her history. It's very, very impressive. Now, you chose this song because of some guitar techniques. Yes, Dylan?
Yeah. So, you guys, for all of you that are like me and believe that really guitar ended with Yngwie Malmsteen, it was like, okay, well, we've hit the top.
We've hit peak guitar.
There's nowhere else to go. Right. There was Bach, Yngwie Malmsteen, Eddie, I guess. But it's like, and we're done. We're done.
Right.
It's downhill from here. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, raking, when you're asking yourself, now how does raking turn into sweeping? Long before the sweep ever existed, the rake.
Some raked.
Don't fact check this.
So that the rest of us could sweep.
That's right. So they really were the sort of the cleanup trendsetters of guitar playing.
Yeah.
And I think they paved the way, or they cleaned the pavement of the way for us to be able to
swept the.
Yeah.
Oh, in curling, they were just doing.
They're the guys. Yeah. So, anyways, I love those guys. I wonder if that's a thing I could apply for, or if I don't think I'm in good enough shape.
We'd probably have to move somewhere. Oh,
yeah. I'm not good. Okay. But so the raking part of this, though, so there's a real confusion about what sweeping and raking is. Honestly, you guys, I'm here to. Can I just spell a myth? Go ahead, sure. A rake is a sweep. Damn it!
A rake
is
a sweep.
Short sweep.
Is it all sweeps are rakes, but not all rakes are sweeps? Is
yes,
it sort of
that's exactly what it is. All sweep. So if you have this, if we have a pick that falls into the next note, and while doing that, you're releasing the sound of the previous note.
Slow that down again.
So if I do that without lifting off,
then those notes are going to sustain.
I don't want that.
You don't want that.
Nobody wants that. That's just playing a chord.
That's
so that's not sweeping. That's not raking. Nothing's clean.
Okay.
Now if we add, and that's where you're stopping sound with the fretting hand to create that raking.
Yeah. I never really broke it down. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's the same thing if you do. This is all the same technique. If you're going to do some huge sweeping thing later on, you're going to be stopping sound. You're stopping sound as you move your pick only up or down through the strings.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense to me. And I'm going to assume it makes sense to everybody out there, but we'll have to assume that because I screwed up the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's... I'm
just not going to get over this.
I hope it doesn't turn into an international incidente.
Now, what we hear, so this song's in the key of C, and it really is just going 1, 4, 5 over and over again. Like you were saying, Mickey gets a lot out of this song considering it's really very, very simple.
Yeah, so we'll do this. You guys, when Eugene goes home, he'll do it. You guys at home, I want you to put on something that goes... and see how many consistent lines you get
right there. Yeah.
And see what you come up with over that for the next 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And what you're going to find is two things. You're going to find that it's harder to repeat things the same way every time than you think it is.
Yep.
It
really is.
When you go to record, you instantly
find
out, one, I can't play quarter notes, and two,
yeah.
Not only, so I think incomprehensible demoralization is the term that comes to mind. And then two, it's facts. And then two is going to be repeating the same thing over and over again takes serious focus if you want to do it exactly the same way, which is an interesting thing about AI or robotics, right? Is that they actually have to algorithmically put in the human
flaws
element.
There was about a tangent. Watch this.
Watch this. The Padres.
Back in the 1800s.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. A woman, she was an heiress, and whale oil was her family's
whale
oil.
Okay, whale oil.
So the heiress, she passed away, and then it seemed like somewhere in her very final days, she had signed over a lot to her caretaker.
Wow.
Her last one, her signature's on the. And there were these lawyers proved in court
that wasn't her signature
because it was too exact.
Wow.
It was. They had tons of documents that she had signed.
Right. And the variation.
And right.
Yeah.
And so she had to sign this a few times in order to, and they were all just too perfect. And they actually had brought in. There was a father-son team. They'd now be called sociologists. I don't think they even had the term.
Yeah, they didn't have
but they were kind of trying to prove
linguists or something.
It's
or
not.
typologists.
It's just not. You know, it's not possible. It's not feasible that someone would write their name exactly the same. This must have been traced.
Wow.
From. So
yeah.
We will have slight flaws.
Yeah.
And we do things over and over again.
Right.
So back to. I just thought that was an interesting.
Yeah. And
you point about AI, we have to sort of nudge it the other way.
When you're talking about the kids, like I have a lot of students that are that age of. In fact, now a lot of high school students go to college. Believe it or not, it's wild.
It's wacky, man.
Hey, man. But it turned into Sammy Davis at the end.
Yeah.
But the point is that they actually don't. If you say, "Hey, put your signature here," there's some hesitation followed by some like, "Okay, what do you?"
This is now turned into Parent Corner.
Yeah.
So my daughter, who's
17.
No, she's
16.
She's going to turn 16 in about a month or so. But she is in college already. She skipped high school, so she's but I remember when she was just starting kindergarten,
right?
Like 2012, 2013, and a lot of parents were kind of bemoaning the fact that I don't even think they're teaching handwriting anymore.
Right.
Now, to me, my thought was, well, on the dollar rack at Target, there's workbooks. I'll teach her that at home.
Yeah, right.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I need you to teach her how to do coding.
Do her taxes immediately.
Do coding.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying teach her stuff that I can't teach
right.
her. Because and then but how many? I mean, for the most part, it's e-signatures.
Yeah. And no, it's like a vestigial organ.
Slightly. So it was important in our house that you learn how to write thank you notes and handwritten. So that's why. So that was it was important to us.
Yeah.
But I would say geez, how it's not. I don't know. Writing ones, learning cursive. I don't know how applicable it is in sort of going about your business as a first-class citizen in terms of, I mean, when's the last time you signed anything for banking?
Dude, never.
My tax stuff, I mean, it's all
that's all e-file,
it's all done. Yeah, it's like,
so, but if you take that into a musical context, right? And you think about the musical signature of Mickey Baker.
Yep.
If you are familiar with his playing, this is actually not the way Mickey Baker plays guitar normally.
No.
As being someone that owns his jazz guitar books, which you very well may own too, it had this really cool font that was a Sonny Stitt type of font on cool strutting. And great
album.
Yeah, but I think he this is an iconic pop hit because it was meant to be from the moment go.
That's a great point. Now, think about the choices Mickey makes. Now we're going C, F, G, C, F, G. So so that lick right there. All right, I get it. Right, it's C, A, G. So he's kind of out of that shape there. But then right after he plays that, he does this.
And it's violent too.
I mean, whoa! And so instead of, I know he's just playing the F triad and the G triad, but he travels it all the way up here, 13th fret, 15th fret, and the gliss, and how many times he's sliding into things, and then of course when everything stops, he plays this kind of a
guitaristic line.
minor pentatonic guitaristic. So, and you hear him, he's sliding up and giving it vibrato that it's just kind of out of control. So you're right, he's almost playing wild guitar
on
by
purpose.
Choice. Not because that's the only way the man knew how to play.
Not at all.
This is a choice. And you mentioned with a tone, we're pretty certain it's either a Tele or a Strat, most likely a Telecaster.
It sounds
to
like
my ear.
a tweed like a tweed amp turned up all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And then so much juicy reverb.
Yeah.
Man, and this is what's also like a choice on this record. And afterwards, you guys just listen to the record as a listening experience. Active listening, as Dan calls it.
Yeah, critical, active and critical.
So, it's like if they're going to use an effect like reverb, they really use the effect. Like they really turn it on. And it also sounds like Mickey's, it almost sounds like someone who's fascinated with almost the violence of the guitar or what can happen in this out of control thing. Now, meanwhile, Mickey and Sylvia are singing these very lovely 2-part harmony. Baby, oh baby, right? It's just really polite, but the guitar just sort of breaks the mood in a weird way. It just kind of like quickly attacks out there. So you want to show them
really
that it really is.
It's sort of a stranger in the night. So there.
Show. I'll show you the lick here. Here he slides.
Hold on, I want to give you this thing here.
To B string on the. Thank you so much for the band. You guys are great.
Yeah, but please, no smoking in here.
Yeah. So it's that slide is just really, really, and he really means it, and he really shakes that string. And then on the high E string, it sounds like to me like he's doing it on the high E string. It's 11th fret, 13th fret, and then a full bent, and then lands back on that. So kind of a just simple blues lick, but again, because the band stops, it kind of gets a spotlight there,
Yeah, we call that like the arthritic slide, because it's the type of thing that your PT and acupuncturist thank you for later in life.
Have you ever had acupuncture?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You like it?
I don't. It's not something I enjoy per se, but it is something that I do think actually works.
Well,
It works. It might only work because I'm laying there with needles around and I can't move. And I'm like, well, I surrender.
This is going to go in the category of things I can't control.
Yeah, this is going to go, and maybe there's the lesson, right?
No, there's this great hook that Mickey puts here in this, like in between the verses. There's this. Now, Dylan's going to show you how to do that. But what I love about it, over the C major. What I really, really like there is that he's over the C major chord, he's coming down off the second note of the major scale, and then goes down chromatically.
It could be major or minor scale because it's the same second.
I'm sorry,
but that's a flat 9 in there. That's the real significant note.
Yeah. And then as the progression goes to the 4 and then the 5 chord, he repeats that move, but this time going from G down to F. So there's a flat 5 for a minute. Just to have this simple chromatic move.
And Love is Strange is the name of the song, and that's a strange
that's the strange part.
If you will.
Exactly. There you go. And it does sound like he's raking through muted strings.
Right.
And then playing. So I'm going to get the tight shot on you, and you show them, give a little instruction on how to pull that one off, Doctor.
So you're going to make the shape that is C. This is the bottom of like the E version of C at the 8th fret.
Very good.
And then you're going to make the last 3 strings of that. And get that in place and be able to just kind of stick that there. Then practice letting each note off, but only your fingers shouldn't just come off the strings. They shouldn't come away from the guitar. It's not right. And one of the sort of beginning mistakes is to take things away too far. You got to think like Mr. Miyagi. And
so it's really a matter of just not pressing them into the.
Is it Bruce Lee?
What?
Only as much. You can punch from very close away. So you only lift your fingers off so far because they need to be back on very quickly.
Right.
And they're also going to be what's stopping the sound. That's the big important part. So, And it's almost an afterthought, those notes. Like, they're hardly there at all, right?
Right.
And so these would be grace notes when written in standard music notation.
You're right.
So you get towards the back of the towards the bridge here, back of the end of the guitar, almost where you're in no man's land there. And so if you hear it up here,
it's almost too sweet.
It's too sweet.
As you go back towards the bridge, when you go back towards the bridge of the guitar, it inherently gets brighter in sound, kind of no matter what model guitar we're talking about.
Because you're closer
Even
to the
on
tension
acoustic,
point.
you'll notice, because the string is a little more tense. Yeah, exactly, right there. So that's that move, and then
up here. So the hard part in the beginning is just getting this to stop sound, and then to do it quickly. That's the real trick in the beginning. That's what's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
After that, it's just adding this in, which is going to have to start on an upstroke.
And that second one, you kind of went up to like an F major chord.
Yeah.
Like the bottom half.
So you think of
that.
So you got the E version of F way up
Again,
here.
this is, think about, in this case, the choice that Mickey's making is that he's going to play a major chord out of this voicing. And then, of course, the 4 chord is just like right there. Right? Like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He's
Rex. We won't talk about it, Rex. It's a private matter for you. I understand. You're shy. So.
Rex, go lay down. Out.
He's like, who's going to let me out?
Who's going to let me go pee is what I want to know.
So instead of playing his 4 chord, playing some lick over F here. No. We're going to take this and move it all the way up. So it's like in the beginning when it.
Yeah, and that's a question and answer situation, right?
Correct.
And think about the way horns would come in.
That's not unusual.
Right. It's not unusual for them to come in that way, as we all know. And so I think that that
was fun.
Man, playing those Tom Jones tribute gigs are so fun because those songs are hilarious. Sorry. Anyways, the point is that that's the way that oftentimes a linear instrument will move. It will move in kind of radical non-stepwise or point of voice leading.
Yes.
And voices, again, meaning pitches, sounds, right? So it's not moving to the very nearest possible solution.
It has to move all the way. That's what I love about moving all the way up here. And it almost seems like as if he doesn't know anything other than the E shape.
I think also, if I'm sitting here...
As if. Of course, he knew more than that.
He did. Well, this guy wrote... this guy was on the frontier of jazz guitar at the time. Or I'm not sure if he was on the very front frontier, but he was damn near it. But if I'm sitting out there, I might be thinking, like, this level of analysis on this could even seem like it's pedantic, or I don't know, like it's too much. Yeah. But this is what went into studio stuff at the time. People were like, it was down to like the smallest increment because there wasn't any digitization.
Nope.
So it was really like you got to just focus exactly on the elements that you're recording to begin with,
right? And
not their after adjustments. So after it's been recorded, how am I going to mess with this? No. After is when it's done. Yeah. And that's part of what we like about so much about, and your ear. That's part of what all of us sort of like as a memory about music is this idea that the original recording was such a big event. Take the Eagles. Why did they sing into a wall 1 trillion times? Or why did bands go on the road and play songs till they were sick of them, then go in the studio to record? Because they couldn't mess them up if they were paid to. I mean, you couldn't mess them up. You could play them in your sleep. Yeah. So, anyways, that's something to really think about. I run into this with students a lot. It's like, I got it. And it's like, you've passed the driving test. You can actually play it. No one wants to be in the car with you yet or drive near you because they're terrified.
Because you're not an experienced
Because you're not
driver.
actually able to drive yet. But yes, you have the capacity to drive well.
I like that analogy.
And where the real finesse comes in the insane level of repetition and the minute rudiment. What's the word I'm looking
Minutia?
for? Yeah, minutia. There we go. Like looking at the minutia and saying, like, what is this parts? What are the individual parts? How the smallest elements of this? How am I sounding different than this recording? Right. That's critical listening.
Right. Well, it's just funny because last week I was talking about on the song I did with Dwight and Post Malone how I'd played the 1, 4, and 5 chords without moving at all, right? I talk about those triads are so close together, and that's really efficient. But there's also this thing here where you play the 1 chord here and all the way up here for the 4 chord.
Wow, yeah.
Like just you can choose. You can choose. And in this case, Mickey clearly wanted us to hear the travel of those chords and also to get as high up the neck as possible.
And you hear the way the strings vibrate and how they have a different kind of tinsel sound in different places of the guitar. Mm-hmm. You can oftentimes I would say it starts with you being able to identify an open string versus a fretted note. So if you can say that sounds like the open string version of G, and identify just literally that. Okay, now can you identify whether it's 4-finger G or 3-finger G? And those are the types of minute listening. And even before that, it might be, can you identify a bass drum? Can you tell where a snare drum is? How many guitars are there? Is the one on the left, one on the right? It's really about, like, dropping everything else you're thinking about and sticking your head in the song.
There was, I had to match something in the studio the other day. And I could tell that the previous guitar player was voicing how he was voicing his chords, and I paid attention to what he had to have been playing on his high E string. That was the giveaway.
Right.
I could tell. I was like, okay. And because the man wasn't there to tell me how he had played it.
Right.
It wasn't written down. I'm just listening to the track.
It was the character of the timbre of the high E string.
And once I find what the high E string is doing, I build out the chord from there.
From there, yeah.
That sort of thing.
But that takes you have to stop thinking about the fact that you didn't get the mail when you left the house, or that
it takes a little more focus than that. Exactly.
Anyways,
so guys, we're gonna move on over into our classroom until we get a very exciting song.
A Bird of Blackness, perhaps.
There you go. A fantastic Beatles song, and we're gonna go over the shapes and the harmonies and the exercises to make this as smooth as possible. It's a great acoustic guitar song. Actually, you can play it on electric as well. But so if you're not signed up for it, it's not too late.
Come and join us.
The link's right there in the description of the show. Sorry I messed up the chat. I really am sorry.
Sweet mother of God.
This is gonna keep me up very, very late. And we'll see you next week.
You got it.
Wait, is next week still September?
I'll double check. Yes.
All right.
Final answer.
Because we have very special songs in October.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
Excited about
October's an exciting campaign. I better let this dog pee, or we're going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
see you guys soon.
Bye.